Welcome to the Coach Singh Show, helping you work less, earn more, and reach more people through creative content marketing. Join the Coach Zingers community, where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come together to discover the latest trends, forge powerful joint ventures, and grow their business together. Go to CoachZing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coach Singh Show. This is your host, Doug Foresta, and this is a show where we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And back with me by popular demand is Stephen Essa. I know you'll get a lot out of this episode. We're going to talk about JV relationships. I know a lot of you have asked me about how do I build JV relationships? What do I do with them? What makes a good JV partner? How do I find them? All that and more. I'll say a little bit about Steve and then bring him right back on. Stephen Essa is internationally recognized with Make Money with Webinars expert. He started from a very humble and likely beginning and has emerged as a world-leading authority on webinar marketing and online business. In less than 5 years, he's built a global client base and has shared the stage with many of the best and high-profile speakers in the industry. Over the past 5 years, he's trained thousands of people to do what he does best, creating the life of his dreams using the internet, generating $4,000, $8,000, and $25,000 in a single hour by using webinars. And he and his wife, Karina, who actually you have just heard on the show, now live in the Gold Coast in Australia. And when it's winter, they head to the Greek islands for 3 months where it's summer. All of this lifestyle thanks to webinars. And Steve, where would you like to send people today? Where do you want to send them?
Just the same old place, mate. I think steveessa.com is good. The webinar there that we have talks about a lot of the stuff that that has helped us to have the lifestyle and the business and the way we run it.
Awesome. Well, welcome back to the Coach Singh Show. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Doug. Thanks, mate. I feel like we can just have a normal chat now because we know each other and don't have to get all the formalities out of the way and just cut to the
pressure,
chase.
I have to say, as much as I always want to make it a relaxed conversation, the pressure is on because Karina was awesome. And I had said that, she's giving you some tough competition.
Oh, she's amazing, isn't she? I mean, am I the luckiest guy in the world ever or what? I mean, I've hit a jackpot with her. I mean,
she's wonderful.
She does the work of like 5 people. I come from the music business, and I've never seen anybody output as much work as quickly as detailed as Karina does. She's just unbelievable. I just sit in awe while I'm watching TV. She's writing all the manuals and she does absolutely everything. She basically took over my business, started her own company and took over my business partner's business as well. And she runs the whole thing, writes the direct mail letters, the texts, marketing, organized flights, all the stuff. It's just crazy what.
So that'll be the next episode is how to find an amazing woman who will.
Well, we can talk about it here. Actually, it's funny because it was like my friends were like, "When are you going to get married?" Like I came back from America. I was broke. I was like, "Well, first thing I got to fix my bank account."
Sure.
No one wants to marry a broke guy. And I was like, I said to my cousins and my dad and whatever. My dad tried to set me up before he died. He's like, please get married, have some kids so I can see them. I was like, you shouldn't have smoked cigarettes and had me so late.
Oh, no.
So he never got to meet Karina, which he'd absolutely love her. But I just didn't want to settle. I wanted to meet someone that was within the business. Was a big bonus. Someone that could go on the journey with me and travel with me. And I didn't want to have be going with someone who's got not that there's anything wrong with it, but like a school teacher, for example, would be stuck in Australia.
They
so
couldn't
I'm
travel
traveling.
with
Yeah. So very, very blessed. I feel very, very blessed. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about joint ventures today, so it's it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story. And
it's the ultimate joint venture.
It's the ultimate joint venture. Exactly. So we don't always have to marry our joint venture partners.
Yeah. You don't have to sleep with everyone that you want to do a JV with. But it will increase the conversion. No, I'm just kidding. Or ruin it.
I'd love to hear, one of the things that, people always talking about is how do I find joint venture partners for my business? And maybe, maybe even to back up, just to explain a little bit about what a joint venture partner is for people that might not really understand that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, just firstly, I've built my entire business on joint venture partnerships. The whole online has been really built on that, and a joint venture really, I mean, is where two different businesses. Let's say, for example, Doug's got a product, I've got a product. Doug has a list, I've got a list, and I'll promote Doug to my database for a percentage or of his product or some other arrangement, and then Doug will promote me. It's like McDonald's. McDonald's, they get these toys from these companies,
right?
And for a movie that just came out, The Incredible Hulk. So they're doing a joint venture to release the toys, through them. So McDonald's is building the brand, helping them to generate sales through licensing and helping them promote the movie. And McDonald's is benefiting because McDonald's gets to advertise, hey, get the latest Hulk stuff, and all the kids are going to go crazy and want to go there. So it's basically a joint venture is normally that way. But a joint venture can be one way in the online marketing space. For example, if Doug, I do joint venture webinars all the time, and I'll look for experts like Doug, and I'll say, Doug, what's your product? Let's do a JV to my list. I don't necessarily have to get a reciprocal. Doug doesn't have to actually, do it back for me. I still call it a joint venture, but technically a joint venture is where both sides are selling their products in that way. So JVs is sort of normally known like that. It's really like an affiliate, right? So sort of like an affiliate deal. Okay. But the joint venture is normally like a 50-50 strategy or some other percentage that you've worked out to make it a win-win for both sides.
So the other question I know that people have is about, how do I find, especially if, let's say, maybe I'm not a quote unquote big name, or I don't have a giant, 100,000, list of 100,000 people. How do I go about, finding those joint venture partners?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, we have to make, and I'm telling myself first all the time as well, because we have to make list building a priority. We have to make that number one. Because with a mailing list, once you build your mailing list, you are in a bargaining position. When I started out, there was no one who wanted to joint venture with me. And it's certainly, you don't need to have a big list to joint venture with people, but it will definitely open up new doors. So just first and foremost, at the front of everyone's mind, at the front of your business is, how can I grow that database? And look no further than joint ventures. It sounds like a contradiction. Like, how do I get started?
Right.
How do I get experience if no one will hire me? Right. It's like the old thing. How do I build a list if no one will work with me? Well, you only need a few people to work with you in the beginning to start to grow your database, to grow that list. And then you can still, bargain with other people who've got bigger databases than you. It's just about building those relationships. So, the first and foremost is, that it's not about quantity, it's about quality. There's like right now I've got over 120 different companies and individuals and podcasters on my list of JVs right now. Everyone who interviews me, I put them on my JV list. Everyone who I see speaking at a seminar or meet them at a seminar and I like what they do, I like their product or they like my product, I put them on my list. Big companies that I use their services which could benefit from our products, I put them on my list. Companies like Infusionsoft and whatever. Now, I've never even contacted those yet because I make so much money from the current JVs. We could easily, start to do that. But I did this the other day, out of 120 or 125 different potential joint venture partners and joint venture partners I've used in the past 12 months, I basically went through and had a look at the ones that the ones that we actually have made money with. So I was reading a book called The 80-20 of Marketing by Perry Marshall, and it's a really, really good book. But he basically says that, you take the 20% of anything that you're doing is getting you 80% of the results. So I went to my joint venture list. I went, okay, 120 people here. Let's see who we've actually made money with in the last 12 months. So I pulled them down and I was like, okay, that's the list there. I think I can't remember how many was that. Like 20% is like 20, 25 or something like that.
Right.
Anyway, so there's 25 there, and I went, okay, which ones have actually made us like more than like $100,000, and then came down to 5 or 6 people that had made us over 100 grand in the last 12 months. And then I was like, okay, which ones out of those 5 or 6 that are left, which one made it? And it was amazing because the 20% of the 5 or 6 that was there, like one of the 5, right, had generated more money in sales than all of the others combined. So it was like, really amazing, because it's like, why am I adding new people to my joint venture list when these 5, I can be in constant contact with them, and there's 5 really good ones, and then I'm delivering great value for them and their customers. And that's what's bringing me, 80% or more of the results, So
really find those partners, like really, instead of constantly just trying to, just add people onto a list of joint venture partners, like really take a look at who are those 20%. Who's the 20%?
Yeah, exactly. Who is the people? Like, most businesses know who's got a database in their industry who could help them.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have to be an individual; it can be a big company. One of my students in our coaching programs, she actually has a webinar all about joint ventures and strategic plans. Her job was at her last company she worked for before she went out on her own and worked with me, and I created her amazing business with her. Basically, her job was to go to big companies and sell and get them to email, a webinar to promote the software of the company. And she went to, believe it or not, the biggest insurance company of medical practitioners in America, which was AON Insurance. She said, it took me 6 months to get to the CEO. She always says that you got to talk to the guy at the top.
Yeah.
You got to get to the guy at the top, the one who makes the decisions. That's the one you got to get to. And 6 months of backwards and forwards, just trying to get a hold of him, chasing him up. He wouldn't. She'd phone a week, 2 weeks later, she'd email. 2 weeks later, she'd phone again. 2 weeks later, she'd email. And she just kept going until finally he said, look, we want to do it. We want to put your free offer in our newsletter. And basically, they just offered a 30-day free trial in their newsletter and paid the company, I think it was like $100 if someone signed up. And eventually they did that deal. And she took that company she worked for from $700,000 to $4.3 million in sales. And 50% of that was through joint venture partnerships, joint ventures to their webinar. And that's what joint ventures, to a webinar registration is absolutely a must today, because it does 2 things, Doug. It builds your list. So if I create a webinar registration page and I send it to you and you've agreed to send it to your database and you're using my registration page, anyone who registers for that webinar ends up on my list. Right. I did this recently. Like, I had a guy who I used another really cool thing in Lead Pages. Lead Pages, this software has this little thing called lead links. And what that does is that if you find out what system they're using, well, the lead link system can create a special URL, which means when that person sends, let's say Doug sends an email to my webinar to his database, and he tells me he's using GetResponse, Infusionsoft, Aweber, and I pre-program it. Well, as soon as they click on the link in the email, they're automatically registered to my database.
Wow.
It automatically moves it. It's called a one-click opt-in. And I used that recently, and I've mailed out guys using that as well, and that's how I came across it. Over 550 people registered for a webinar with this guy who's got a supreme list. And we made about $57,000 in sales. And I've got not everyone on board, obviously, but we've got this massive list of 500 people now. So, it's just like really fine-tuning and figuring out where's the best relationships and setting up a webinar, getting them to promote a webinar for you. And that's a great way to build your list and generate sales at the same time.
Now, when you say to have that, webinar for the joint venture, I assume you've got to have a product on the other side of that, right? That you're joint venture.
If you've got, I'm assuming that everyone who's listening now has got a product, then they're basically that they want to sell. So you're going to go to someone who can mail it out to their database to sell your product. Now, that could be a workshop. Like we just did some joint ventures where I've promoted people in the past, and then I said to them, hey, I'm doing an event in London this weekend. I said, can you promote my event to your database? We've got some online tickets available. So it could be an online event, it could be a DVD, it could be a webinar, it could be anything, and not just online stuff, right? Offline. I had one guy who is a really good copywriter, one of the biggest copywriters in Australia, and he only has a database of like 1,000 people because he has a real loyal following, and he's just got a small tribe, and he's got like 1,000 people, and but he does all direct mail. He's not like an online marketing guy. And basically I said to him, would you like to do a list swap where I email for you and you email for me, and no money changes hands? It's called a list swap or an ad swap, right? And I'll email my database whatever you want me to, and you email your database what you. And he said to me, Steve, I've only got like 800 or 1,000 people. I can't remember the exact number now.
Yeah.
But it was some time ago. And he said, you've got like over 30,000. I said, that doesn't matter. I said, like, I'm fine to do that because I know he's got everyone on his list is a buyer. They've bought his newsletter. They're subscribed. So they're worth way more. I'd rather have 100 buyers than 10,000 non-buyers.
Right, exactly.
It's like, so it's much, much better because you know that these people have shelled out money. They're serious. And then what we did was we did a swap. So he emailed for me, I emailed for him, and it was still a win-win. I still generated sales because his people showed up to the workshop, showed up to the seminars, bought stuff. And in fact, one of his customers, I picked him out of the audience and made him over $11,000. And I wrote to him and I said, this is one of the guys you invited, just to let you know that, we're doing good work for people when you promote us. All people want to know when they're going to mail for you is, have you got the credibility? Like, are you who you say you are, and you've got a good reputation? And number two, you've got good products, and you're going to look after them. Because someone who's got a list doesn't want to hear back from people saying, "Hey, I went to that event that you promoted, and oh, geez, that guy was full of himself. It was like, he was like his wife was really good, but he was really." So basically, they don't want to get complaints back. They don't want to get complaints about things. And if you do, and they want to make money, that's the third thing. They want to make money. So, if you can do those three things, then, a few joint venture partners, 3 or 4 joint venture partners can make you very, very wealthy, can make your business a lot of money.
I feel like you have done Karina proud.
It wasn't better than it was, Doug.
Thanks so much. I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thanks, big buddy. Talk to you soon.
Right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And remember, we'll be back Monday through Friday with more great guests, helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at The Coach Singh Show.
Thank you for listening to The Coach Singh Show. Subscribe to us via iTunes, and please leave us a review. It helps us grow our awesome tribe. This show is brought to you by CoachSing.com's Speak to Publish book system. If your book is stuck in your head, we can help you get it out in just a dozen hours of your time. Go to CoachSing.com for more information. Have you joined the Coach Zingers community yet? You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to CoachSing.com/community to join now.